everyone, this is Grandmaster Daniel Lemos here for iChess.net, and we continue with our Accelerated Dragon series. This time we'll see a game played by Bohandu against Paul Keres, one of the legends from the past, and he played the dragon, as we can see. In this game we have a weird move order, but we'll soon transpose to the Accelerated Dragon. Let's see, after e4, c5, knight to f3. We know the dragon arises after d6, d4 takes, knight f6, knight c3, and instead of playing the Najdorf with a6 or the Rouser with knight c6, we can also play the dragon with g6. There b3. This is the main line, and we know white is queenside castling, and he's also fighting a kingside attack. Of course, we'll have some chances on the queenside, but the main drawback of playing the main line is that we have a lot of theory to learn, and if we make a mistake, we lose the game. It is not a positional battle where a mistake is forgiven. I mean, a mistake and we are done. So the advantage of playing the Accelerated Dragon is that in a lot of variations, instead of playing d6, we can play a quick d5. In some variations we can go for positional lines where white castles kingside, and that means he's not going to attack us on the kingside. I mean, we have a different game, and what I really like about this dragon is the fact we can play d5 in one step in a lot of lines. We also discussed this during part 1 of this series. If you haven't seen this yet, I recommend watching it. You can find this on our channel. So now let's start with this game. White opens the game with the reti, and black plays this move. We can also play c5, because if he plays e4 now, we can still play this Sicilian. So this, now white, apart from e4, he can also go for d4 or c4, and then we can try a king's Indian as black. So e4, c5, and the most natural move, d4. White has other ways of playing against this dragon. He can go for a Meroxy setup with c4, and he can also try moves like c3. Here, for instance, against this Alapin setup, we can play d5. This would be impossible if we have our pawn on d6. I mean, it is still possible, but we are wasting a tempi. So let's see, d4, we take. We can also play a move like bishop here. This is what I like about the dragon. We have a lot of possibilities. If he takes, we can consider queen a5 check. If d5, then we can play something like d6. And suddenly we are playing a Benoni position that happens after a d4 game. So here we are playing a position we probably know, and our opponent won't know much because he's playing a d4 game now. So we see some tricks in the move order as well. That being said, I think taking on d4 is our best try, and white plays queen takes d4. This is an aggressive variation, obviously attacking our rook, and knight takes c4. This is the main line. We covered this during our course. We have a deep dive made on this dragon. You can find more information on our site, on the link below. And during this series, we are also covering these lines. In this move order, if he takes with the knight, we can play knight c6, bishop c7. Here white decides whether to play Damaroxy with c4 or the standard line with knight c3. Queen takes c4 is another possibility, and we are almost forced to play in knight f6. because if we play f6, I guess bishop c4 is crushing already. I mean, this diagonal is key, and we don't have many ways of controlling this. Also, our knight on c8 doesn't have any good squares to develop, so this move is the way to go. White plays e5. He has other moves as well, like knight c3 or bishop b5, but e5 is the most natural move in that position. Knight c6. According to theory here, queen a4 is white's main move. You can play in a Alekhine style with knight d5, and later on we can see how to continue our development, how to attack this pawn on e5. But white in this game, he plays queen f4. Let's remember this game was played long time ago. This was played in year 1953, so no theory at this point. And queen f4 looks like a natural move. After all, if black plays knight d5, queen e4, d4, yeah, we're transposing into the main line. The main line is queen a4, oops, we're having some mouse slips, and then queen e4. So here if queen f4, knight c6, queen f4, if knight d5, queen e4, we are likely to transpose. However, Keres plays knight to h5, and I think moving the knight to the corner is not recommended. Although here, when we play knight h5, we are winning a tempi, so this is probably making sense, because once he moves the queen, my knight can also improve via g7 and e6. And I love having the knight on e6 because he's likely to play bishop c4, and if I have my knight on e6, I'm blockading that diagonal. So queen e3 and d6. This is a great example of what can happen in the dragon. This is a defense of initiative, and suddenly we have a great development. We get the feeling we have more pieces out than white. And d6 is a great move, maybe d5 as well. The thing is, when I play d6, I have the threat of taking on e5, so this is a slight advantage. And if he wants to take on d6, I like queen takes, and then I can already think about bishop f5, bishop g4, maybe queenside castle. That is usually risky in Sicilian, but here I have a reason to play that. So the thing is, I have a good development. So white, instead of taking on d6, or instead of playing something like knight c3, he plays bishop d2, which is a weird move. But once we look at it, we understand what white is trying to do. Okay, yeah, knight c3 and queenside castle. Maybe in some variations he wants to play bishop c3. That is the only reason why I think he played bishop d2. Otherwise, I mean, knight c3, bishop d2, the move order doesn't matter. He plays bishop d2 first. He's probably trying to play bishop c3 at some point. For instance here, bishop c3. But okay, I don't mind playing this. I keep on developing my pieces. He just moved his bishop twice. He's down in development. And I feel my next move is bishop g4. As long as all my pieces are outside, I think I have a good game as black. So instead of bishop g7, Keres decides to take, and white takes on e5. I mean, here I would like to say something. Suppose after this, takes, knight takes, queen takes. Suppose we're happy with this position, then I would just take with the knight, because then he's forced to take in and queen takes e5. When we take with the pawn, this is not binding. He can also play bishop b5 maybe, or something else, bishop c3. If I want to trade, if I want to make sure that trades are happening, I would play knight takes e5. I think it's more accurate than pawn takes e5. So here, yeah, bishop b5 is not a big deal. We can just play... Well, this is weird, but I think it is possible. After all, we have an extra pawn, and our king feels safe. Otherwise, bishop here. If knight takes, to be honest, I would castle. I don't care about material when his king is in the center, and I also see his b2 pawn is hanging, so let's say bishop takes, pawn takes, knight takes, queen c7 or queen d6. I love my position. If he keeps on taking pawns, I think that's favoring me, because this development is not easy to stop, and he still has the king in the middle. I mean, this looks like a winning advantage for black already. And this is something that can happen when we play the dragon, because we have a strong initiative. So, okay, pawn takes, he plays knight takes e5, we take, queen takes, and bishop here. We keep on winning development tempis, and we are about to castle. So queen there. Okay, this is like the worst trick ever. If we play bishop takes b2, there's queen b5 check. Yeah, I remember looking at this when I first saw this game. But okay, it's never too late to fall in traps like this. So queen there, of course, we don't have to take on b2. The threat is still there, so we can just castle, and I love my position. Even if he plays knight c3, I feel my development is way too powerful, and he still has issues to finish his. So that was good. Black plays bishop f6 and queen c5. As the say goes, a mistake is usually followed by another one, and white here, he's moving his queen too much. Maybe queen b3 was better. I mean, bishop d7, queen b3. Hopefully this is the last time he moves his queen, and white, who's under pressure, he should look for some trades and getting his pieces out. So I would try this. Queen c5. The problem is the queen there is not doing much. In fact, it is a target, a future target for us. We castle, and then we just think about moving our bishop, developing our rook, and not to mention we are still attacking the b2 pawn. So he plays knight c3, bishop c3 is also possible, but the problem is he's not developing a piece, he's just moving his bishop twice, and we can keep on bringing pieces into the game. Here, for instance, we also open the e-file. We get the feeling this is lost for white already. So he tries knight c3. And okay, here it is decision time for us. We have the easy move, bishop f5, developing a piece, preparing rook c8. This is great looking. I mean, he can still castle. Despite having a great initiative and not caring about these pawns, we can tell white somehow finished his development. So, I don't know. I mean, my knight here is not ideal. Maybe this, trying to play g4. I mean, I still think black is better, to be honest, but somehow white placed his king on a better area. So instead of bishop f5, maybe this is the time to punch him, because he still has the king on e1. So what about bishop d4? We know in chess, initiative is what really matters, and here he's not able to castle yet. He has to move the queen once more, and now bishop f5 here. looks better. I mean, now he cannot castle. I mean, f2 is hanging. Or, well, I mean, this is not forced, but the chance is there. The queen is also in a worse position. So bishop f5 was interesting. Black played knight f6. I guess he's still trying to attack on f2. And now if he castles, I would just take it. I mean, I don't see any discovered with this bishop. Even if bishop b3, I can take with check. I can also play queen b6 here. Maybe this is better because we keep on developing pieces and I feel my attack is too powerful. I can even think about sacrificing on c3 one day. So, knight f6, white plays bishop d3, and it looks like he's trying to castle kingside, and indeed the kingside looks like a safer place compared to the queenside. But the problem is we keep with our initiative and we'll play strong before he castles. Here he has no choice but to castle to defend f2 because knight d1 is an ugly move. I mean, bishop e6, he can castle, and it's true that he has everything under control, but this knight on d1 is passive, his rooks are not connected, and we still have a strong initiative. I imagine something like bishop b5, knight e5, and he's losing at least one of his bishops, and he's lacking coordination, so here he goes for an active play. I don't know if I should call that an active play, but he castles, bishop f6, queen d5. It is amazing to see the amount of times white moved his queen in this game. He has no choice. Queen d5, I feel it's the only move. Queen f4, we have the simple bishop e5. And queen c5, we have a reason to play b6 and bishop b7 maybe. It's not good to put your queen on a square where your opponent can play something like bishop d4. So queen d5, his idea is to trade some pieces off and hopefully get rid of our attack. But we know that when we are attacking, we don't want to trade. So let's move our queen, let's try mating him, and he has to play this move. If he plays f4, we have some Philidor mates coming here. Of course, he has to sacrifice this change, but if he plays this, we'll just play this lovely maneuver, and we're winning. So, yeah, f4 is not possible. He is weakening his king, so he plays this. And when he plays this, he's also creating weaknesses. So it is time for us to exploit those with bishop e6. And white here makes the big mistake of this game. He can still play. I know this is not great looking, but this is possible. One thing is sure, once he plays the move queen g2, he's not getting mated soon. The queen is a good defender. But okay, we can play this. We have much better pieces than white. He has no activity. He cannot move his knight. We are trying to play knight e5. I know, we have a clear advantage as black, but still, white has a game. This bishop f4 has to be losing because everything is hanging and we have a much better position as black. Now it is time to calculate and see what's going on. Here there's no other way. If we take the queen on d5, he'll take on c7, and white's point there is that our bishop is hanging, so somehow he's got an extra tempi to improve his position. But in chess we have what we call in-between moves. What about queen takes c3? Now if he takes the queen, we just win a piece. This is easy to see. And he also plays an in-between move. Queen takes e6. If we take the queen, he takes our queen, and he's got the bishop pair, so we continue the in-between moves series with queen takes d3. Now queen takes knight is the only move, and at the end of the day we end up winning a pawn. That's not the big deal. The thing is, his bishop is terrible, and our pawn structure is great. I mean, our bishop on f6 is solid, and we are likely to win a second pawn. If we get 2 extra pawns, then we just trade everything off and the game is over. So white tries playing some active moves, but we are glad to take another pawn. As we said, we have a solid foundation, no weaknesses. Rook b1, we take another one. This is like an endgame rule. We have a passer, and our passer is being supported by our bishop. The promoting square is key, and now there's nothing white can do to stop a4, a3, a2, and will eventually promote. That is why after f5, white resigns. So, an interesting game where we can appreciate the power of the dragon, and this is, as I was saying, what I like about dragon. Its flexibility, and I should say the accelerated dragon, not the main one. The main one is a sharp line, and it also deserves attention, but I like playing this because, as I said, one day you can go for main lines, another day you go for positional lines, or good side lines where you have counterplay, and your opponent won't be that prepared. So the practice point of view also counts. So I hope this video was useful, I hope you could learn something, and of course I want to see you guys in my next videos. Thank you.